Welcome to the WTH show. We got multiple articles to go through tonight. The reason why I stalled out there for a second, there are three that at the top of my head are like holy hot tamales. All right, let's just call it what it is. Three real WTH events here, articles to talk about. We got off the internet. I call it reading the news. We may call it something else in the future because that's how we roll. It's entertaining, but it's stuff to think about. So first one, Cashier texted me. I didn't give him my number. Gym membership. Women taking pictures in the locker room.
Remember hearing about that one.
Yeah, holy shit. I didn't know this till read it. Next one, took my car in, ... And yes, what are we talking about? Automotive, car repair. We're going to talk about this because Dan and I have both experienced this. I'll share a story that was complete. That just happened to us 2 weeks ago to the tune of $2,000 plus. And then the fourth one is stupid laws. Just stupid laws that happened to me in a certain city in North Carolina. It had to do with how I parked the truck. We'll get to that. All right. Roll the intro.
All right. Let's do this. Welcome to the WTH show. What's that mean? What the hell? We share customer experiences gone wrong and the few that got it right. We are a place to vent, get advice, and help. If we feel we can make a positive impact, know that you are not alone. If you or someone you know had a problem with a business and want to be on the show, please go to WTHshow.com. Then click on Start Here.
Thank you, Melanie. All right. Opening agenda. I already covered the highlights of what's going on tonight. But I will start with this. And we will continue to reiterate this, guys, to this audience. We want feedback from you down below in the comments of what you like, you dislike, things of that nature. We want some direction. We're going to take this show into what I refer to right now as reading the news, bringing on interviews and experts to help guide you in your customer experiences. We'll keep it that simple. And then, what is our definition of customer experiences? I'll be explicit with this. Dan's going to jump in here in a second. We're not talking just about customer experience, customer service. We're talking about customer experiences. And that it really comes from both sides. The customer that's paying for a service and the employee or the person supplying the service. That's a two-way street. Sometimes, as I read through these things, I refer to or think about it. It seems like it comes down to the Crips and the Bloods. If you didn't know.
We're living kind of a different time right now. The fact of the matter is, everyone says, well, things are going off the rails. Why is everything going off the rails? Because people don't know how to react. At this point in time, I think everybody has hit such frustration. They're just snapping. You get it from both sides. See it from stressed out. You also see it from customers unloading on said stressed out employees. It happens all the time. And unfortunately, it just feeds itself. At some point, they need a place to.
Keep going, Dan. You just hit it.
Well, here's the fact. There's two of us on camera right now. There's a third person, Melanie, behind the scenes. She's the podcaster. But we have one other person, and that's the audience. We want the audience to be very much a part. This is their show. We want it to be their show. We're just here to bring the group together, talk these things out. Hopefully have a little fun with it, but still, let's talk it out. See what we can land on, see what we can help. There's certainly things we can do to help.
Oh, Dan, that was great. I forget to hit record. Joking. Dan and I talk about behind the camera. We truly want to bring together what helps you out. The other part that I think to transition to, often we always think about this in a retail perspective or a service industry perspective. It's so much bigger than this, guys. It's not the hostess or the server at a restaurant or the cashier or somebody you walked up to in Dick's Sporting Goods, yada, yada. It's so much bigger than that. And then the other part that we're going to hit on in these articles as we discuss them and throw the non-solicited opinion is the self-centeredness of all of us. Really, it's to bring forward, guys, think about this before you act, or think about this from a human nature perspective of who you're talking to. This could be your daughter, your son, your mother, your spouse, anybody that, if you're the customer, you're just unloading on, or vice versa. And then we're going to get into entitlement and all that. So the point of what Dan's making there is we want to hear where you want to go with this. And this is a community, and let's just keep rolling it from there. Well, let's get into the first article. Today I was grabbing lunch at a restaurant on my university campus. They have a little kiosk where you place your order, pay, put in your name and phone number. Keywords there, name, phone number. So I did it as per usual and went to go stand by the counter to wait for my food. All right, so I'm going to get to the highlights of this. Older female worker, we're going to keep it to generic terms like female, starts prodding younger man because he's got the going with this woman that put in her name and phone number. And she's taunting. We can all see this. We all can see this. She's trying to like teach him how to like get assertive, go introduce yourself. And then male worker needs a little nurturing to introduce himself. And this was written by the customer. And she saw this going on. She could see that things were going back and forth. And then she says, I politely say, it's nice to meet you after an introduction. And she feels flattered, still keeping to the highlights. And then later on, she leaves the restaurant. And she's like, I got a text from a number I don't know. I was a little uncomfortable. I didn't recognize the number. And is this a confidentiality breach when somebody from the restaurant texts me because they had the information? Here's what I love about this article, and Dan, make your point or comments. Is she talks about how do you navigate this? She's very open. She's flattered. But God, this is just borderline creepy. Or should I shut this down and all this? Go ahead, Dan, because this is a great article and not somebody going over the top like you've breached my confidentiality, etc.
So first, I kind of wish I knew what age the author was, because she references the fact that her fiance is really pissed off and wants to go scorched earth on this person. And you also buried the hook. Basically, the text was asking her out for lunch.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I love the fact that the author doesn't go scorched earth. Her first thought was, I kind of give the guy credit. He called his shot. He took his shot. That was that. But there are certain confidentiality concerns here. The question is whether or not it should be brought up to the management. I agree with the writer that the fact of the matter is, if it's a one and done, maybe you take the guy aside and say, dude, that was a little creepy. You may want to take a different approach from now on. I don't believe in going scorched earth on some 18 or 19-year-old kid working as a freshman the college cafeteria. It doesn't feel like a big message needs to be made here. The person took a shot, fucked up. Oh well, it's done. She, again, is handling it perfectly. I totally respect her approach to it. I understand the creepy angle, but I don't believe that we need to fire somebody over something.
And I think we may in the future refer back to this many times because this person could see this from multiple angles instead of just losing his or her shit. But she ends it with this. And I think we need to end a lot of engagements before we lose our shit on people. She ends it with this, or he. Is this normal? Is this weird? Am I overthinking? Should I do something or let it be? So we'll leave it at this, guys. This was a Reddit article. It's from Tales from the Customer on Reddit. We will have a link to it. Provide your feedback there. We would love your feedback at WTHshow.com. If you want to be on the show and discuss this, let us know. We're open to some interviews, discussion points, etc. Again, WTHshow.com and click on Start Here. If you mess up Start Here, I got questions because it's a big button right on the homepage. Go on to the next article. Specifically on Reddit, it's r/facepalm. This article gets started with the horrendous, somebody's taking pictures in the locker room at Planet Fitness. And we have a Planet Fitness. Melanie and I have a Planet Fitness membership, and we travel all over the country. So we've been in a lot of them, and I can vouch for holy hot tamales. They have a lot of freaking signs saying, don't take pictures anywhere on the premise. So this wonderful human decides to take pictures in the women's locker room. I'm assuming it's a woman taking women pictures in the women's locker room. And then they cancel her membership. Is that the highlight, Stan?
Yeah, I think there's a bigger issue here.
There's a much bigger issue that we get rolling into with the comments. And the whole comment thing is a whole nother thing to talk about. Where and Dan's going to have a different position on this. For me,
oh, sure. Calling the fat guy out for having a different position on fitness centers. Got it.
Okay. That may have come off the rails. Didn't see that coming, but I could have. I should have. Anyways, for me, because I've had an issue with canceling gym memberships, for me, this is getting away from the actual issue. Because to me, it's a hands down, don't take pictures in a locker room, you dumbass. Well, the second one is canceling memberships. And then there's like some good points in the comments. And not too many people like lost their shit of degrading comments, etc. But I'm going to jump to my point and then I'll hand it over to Dan. I've had problems canceling my membership at gyms in different areas because it's the culture of gyms to make it really hard for you to cancel it. Like you got to go in there and just listen to the continuous friggin' sales beatdown as opposed to go click cancel. And there's one in here, and I'm going to be specific, that I reached out to the individual that I personally, Dan and I haven't talked about this, but I personally want to interview on this show a Colorado membership, a person from Colorado with a membership in that state, username Stand Against Tyranny 2. There's a fitness club in Colorado or whatever the bleep I already used the word, so I'll go with it. Whatever the fuck those godless creatures are called, they continue to refuse to cancel my membership. At some point, it becomes theft. The cost to make them go to court to claw back the $1,500 they owe me wasn't worth it. I've reached out to them. I want to interview them. I want to hear their story because I got the same bleeping story. I mean it. The stuff that I went through with LA Fitness Not till I bullied him on social media did I get him to back off for freaking like a $43 membership. And I had to have 2 conversations with them. And my story is simple. I started and I was working in Dallas, Texas as a contractor, IT PM contractor, had a a membership with them that I opened up the first month. The second month, I got an offer to move to Chicago with the same company. And my new location was going to be at least 40 to 45 minutes without traffic in Chicago. And they didn't want to cancel my membership, even though my location was going to change. Well, it took me, I shouldn't say bullying them on social media. I just had multiple negative reviews for them. I put in and recorded multiple calls with their call center from Pluto, aka onshore. And finally, I got what I needed, but I burned a good 3-4 hours working through all this. And finally, they canceled the membership. So, and over to you in a second. I want to hear from these folks that he or she burned through freaking $1,500 to cancel a damn membership. And I want to know the facts, not some emotional thing like I can tell you what my facts were, I just did. But this is ridiculous, and it's part of the culture of the gym industry. Over to you, Dan, so I can just calm the hell down.
I think this is bigger than the gym industry. I would argue that canceling anything has become very difficult now. They just, a great example, you try canceling a direct TV subscription right now. It is nigh impossible to get through to anybody to get that thing canceled. They have special phone numbers for it. They fight you the whole time. It is insane. We now have software companies who have just introduced software that you have to pay a membership for that'll look at your memberships and cancel certain memberships for you. It's all become ludicrous. But they also know that people are so used to having automatic payments coming out of their account that they assume, they being any of these companies that have these memberships, they assume that a lot of that you may not even fight because you don't know how much you're losing. If you look, I'm somebody that's got YouTube TV. I've also got a whole bunch of streaming services. The amount of money I'm spending gets lost because there's just so much. I assume that a certain amount of money is going out for memberships every month. And I just stopped really paying attention. And that's where they get it.
All right. Enough on that. I want feedback from everybody else on this and what you've gotten from gym memberships or memberships in general. Oh, all right. Let's get into it. This one, God, I can go on for hours on this one. It's on Reddit. Mildly or r/mildly infuriating. Took my car in for an oil change. Highlights, oil change. He or she even leaves a picture where they circle on the inspection report, filter bad. Well, what I find interesting, and I did this before and experienced this, air filter goes underneath the hood. You replace it before you go for your oil change. And what do you do?
3-minute job. 3-minute job to replace your own air filter.
Well, do it. And this is a great test. Do it yourself. I don't care who the hell you are. 3 minutes. It's like 2 tabs. Do your shit. Throw it in there from whatever auto parts store, and then roll in for your oil change. Well, he or she rolls in there, right? Just got done putting the filter in, like I said, and what comes back on the report needs to insert a new air filter. In other words, they're trying to sell them an air filter that they just exchanged, which is complete BS. Their Jiffy Lube is pointed out in this article, this posting, many times, and I'm going to point this one out and hand it over to Dan. I used the mystery shop, aka Jiffy Lube locations. I once had the advisor tell me that my Mazda truck needs fuel injectors. Just saying Mazda. Anyways, needed to be cleaned. My truck had a carburetor. I told him that if he could pop the hood and show me the fuel injectors. Anybody doesn't know, if you got a carburetor, you do not have fuel injectors. That I would pay 10x for that amount listed. And I'm going to summarize quite a few of these. These folks go on with these stories one after the next. I'm sorry, guys. Know when you're just being screwed. And know a little bit about your car before you take it in there. And then here's the other side of it. Sorry, Dan, I'm going on a little.
God, you're fine. Fine.
People, I've said this in the past and I'm backing off on it. I always say, get somebody with you when you take it into an automotive shop that knows these logical things. And then I'm going to back off on that and say, automotive industry, pull your head out. Much like the RV industry, quit being this way. I almost want to say it criminal. It's maybe not criminal, but this is just not being good people. If you're part of an organization there's one article in here that they're literally taking filters, and this isn't just Jiffy Lube, this is many. I can go into some dealer experiences with Volvo and Ford over and over, that is just absolute dishonesty, where they bring out a filter that's dirty with leaves on it, and it is clearly not even the size of the filter that goes in your car. So there's two sides of it, and then over to Dan. There's two sides. Guys, know your car from just a high-level logical perspective. Or bring somebody in with you. So there's three things. Or bring somebody in there with you that knows it. Or the third thing, and probably more of anything from a moral perspective, automotive industry, what's wrong with you? I'm pregnant pause. Dan, don't jump in. To the automotive industry at the dealership and automotive level, whether it's a Jiffy Lube or a Meineke, I don't mean the people that are working at these places, I'm not saying it's probably a very small few, like 1%, 2%, 3%. Guys, have some morals. Get out of that organization that's promoting that culture. Over to you, Dan.
So first, let me say I am not a supporter of any of these quick stop kind of lube places, because they do make money on you, knowing that the average person coming in there doesn't know the first thing about their car. So they're hoping that they can come in and do the upsell. And I get it. Unfortunately, I've worked for a couple gas stations. Like many people that grew up in the 80s, that was one of my first jobs. Pumping gas. I know how to check oil, know how to check my antifreeze, I know how to check all the fluids. So whenever I go into those, they're not selling me anything. I know how to do all of it. I just know that disposing of said oil, yes, I would just soon take it to a reputable auto repair shop and get it done. It's just worth more of my time. Those quick change places all work on the upsell. I'm remembering an article I read many, many moons ago, and I think it was in Reader's Digest, probably in my parents' bathroom, as most parents have Reader's Digest right next to the commode. And in the article, it was, no, you're not editing that part. So, in the article, it was a auto mechanic, and I think they even wrote for one of the auto magazines. And they did a test, and it was all around state auto inspection and how much of a scam this is, how much some places will try to scam you. And They took that car to multiple different repair shops within a state, and every single one of them found different things wrong that would fail the inspection. They went so far also to try taking it in for just a tune-up. And they caught a mechanic literally filing one of the plug wires so that they could say that the plug wires were all bad. So it's hard to trust any of these people. They all know that the average person has no clue about mechanics. You hit it perfectly, know your car. It doesn't take much to learn basic maintenance about your. If you do yourself that favor, you're going to come out way ahead, because they're constantly looking for that victim that doesn't know enough to fight them. And the upcharge on shit like that is crazy.
Let me add, and this goes to an article, or part of the article, SKER 46, SKERR 46. And my call to action for that industry is simple. And because I've been part of that industry, we'll get to that later. But, guys, the industry is going to come back with a standard answer. Less than 1% have this problem. And I call that bullshit. You wouldn't have a zillion feedbacks on BBB, Better Business Bureau, and people just going through every complaint website and having this continuous. So to the industry, cut the BS with the 1% or less than 2% reaction from your information spokesman from these organizations, and start addressing the culture. And I'm going to point to this one article. Dealership goes in, needs minor body work. On their own recognizance or whatever direction, they go in and suddenly they start checking brakes. They get into brakes that were never asked for, and they come back and they say, check my brakes, and I needed to replace rotors. $3,000. Next thing they do, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're dealing with rotors and calipers, you generally have two big bolts. Well, this dealer decided to drill out the head on these bolts that go into the caliper, keeping it so you can't just go in and simply work on this and then shear it off the edge of the bolt. And where this resulted is, they said that they needed to fix all of these rotors and calipers for a cost of $3,000. After sucking a ton of the consumer's time, where did he land? My friend changed the brake pads that needed to be changed for me for $150, which is the pad cost, no labor. Guys, that's the dishonesty part that I'm talking about. So protect yourself. In automotive, clean your shit up, because it's not less than 2%, less than 1%. And here's my closing point on this article. Guys, always has to do with these big damn companies. I'm sorry, but I've been like a big company person for years, but I'm realizing internally, as I work within them as a contractor, scaling these companies does not work. All you do is end up messing. You got to do something in leadership to scale them this big. Dano, keep reeling. I'm going to the next article. This guy's like an expert, and he makes a good point about. I'm gonna touch on this and then get out of it. He gets into how negative reviews online are a great learning experience and how people can rally behind them. The article is The Power of Bad Reviews, Strategies for Business Improvement. And this speaks to how we're not here just to rant and vent and blah, blah, blah. We want to bring people like this to the table to talk a little bit about this. But getting back to, and he runs a website. Go check it out. Pissed consumer. It's a consulting service as well. But getting back to the point, how companies take these negative reviews and they become defensive, like, oh my God, we couldn't do this, as opposed to making it a learning experience. Let me leave it at that. I will remember to bring this up in a future episode or bring this guy on the show to talk through it a little bit, because I think it's valid to bring a balanced point of view or multiple point of views, so we're balanced on what he sees, etc. Dan, any comments before I get to the ice cream? Ooh.
I think there's definitely a place for constructive negative reviews. It certainly works better than threatening to blow up the planet.
All right, so I talked about this in episode 2. Let's define from an audience, show, cultural perspective. I'm going to use the term, and I mean this in a not gender way. The word Karen on this WTH show is genderless. It's everything less. A Karen is a Karen, and Karens raise Karens.
Are we talking entitlement?
Bingo. The golden word with Karen is not female. And it's not any particular race, gender, religion, etc. It is entitled. So Karen equals entitled. This particular article has to do with this individual's laying on a bed in a hotel room and suddenly has I'm just going to read it to you so you don't think I'm persuading or only delivering a certain amount of information. But before I say this, from Reddit, r/tales from the front desk. She explained her daughter wanted ice cream. Oh, by the way, I think this is the front desk. She explained her daughter wanted ice cream and could we bring some to her. I explained the restaurant and room service were closed, but luckily we have some containers of ice cream in the market. All right, so little stage thing. Dan and I know this quite well. Every freaking hotel in the country, and I'm sure in other countries, there's a little market for the drunks and the hungry. That's the same thing, right, Dan?
In my case, the fat drunk guy.
There's things you can eat and drink, and it's things like chips and ice cream and water and beer. But it's like, Miller Lite. It's the low test beer. Blah blah blah. So, anyways, just let you know if you didn't know, but now you know.
And at a premium price. You're going to probably pay $5 for that bottle of Miller Lite.
Yep. So moving on here. Ice cream in the market. She then asked if somebody would bring it up as her husband was sleeping and she didn't want to come to the lobby. Okay. I told her sorry, we could not, in which I totally understand. There's usually one person on in these. If you're not in a high dollar hotel, and what I mean by that is below like $300 a night, you usually have one person on after like 8 o'clock. So if this is after 8 o'clock, I'm assuming it is because the husband is sleeping. She said, I can't do it. I told her sorry, we could not. She comes down and grabs a couple of containers, walks by the desk. I asked if she was going to pay or charge to the room. Here comes the entitlement. Maybe that's not, we need to have a discussion on entitlement. The 2 ice creams were a total of $12 plus tax.
About right.
That's right. A little bit of high dollar there. It is what it is. Captured market, blah, blah, blah. Thought she was joking when she looked at me and asked, you're charging me? For my daughter. All right. Teddy's stopping everything right now. But dude, are we just launching that bullshit right into the conversation? That right there screams Karen. She's trying to get something for nothing. And she said, for my daughter. What does that have to do with the $12 you owe for a commodity that you just took out of the market? Dan?
So here's the deal. There's a part of me that wants to say, maybe she didn't realize you have to pay for it. But that would be utter bullshit. Every single one of those feels like you're in a little convenience store that's tied to the hotel lobby. You know that, in fact, they normally have the prices right there.
All right, so walk down to the Circle K, the 7-Eleven, whatever the bleep it is. Just walk in there and go, why should you charge me? Why? It's for my daughter. And by the way, I'm going to put 20 freaking gallons of gas in my tank. It's for my daughter, too.
No, this is absolutely Karen. If somebody was being completely entitled, that one, or was even hoping to bully the poor.
That's what it is. We got to come up with a term for this is some kind of other bullying of somebody that's trying to be nice at a front desk and just asking. And I'm not going to even call it doing my job. It's, hey, you walked in. This kind of sounds like a bar joke. A woman walks into a market, picks up some ice cream and walks out. I ask for, how are you going to pay for that? And she answers, it's for my daughter. Has anybody been referred to the terminology, so what? All right. It's for your dog, your daughter, your husband, or you. Still, you're paying.
Mm-hmm. Somebody had to pay for it. They're trying to walk off.
Well, you're trying to create an argument of entitlement that just because I paid, I should just walk around here at a hotel that she probably paid $100 to $150 a night because there is a market with one person. And then all of a sudden, you're just, everything's included. Moving on. Sorry. Lost my shit there. I said, yes, ma'am. She charged to the room. I'm trying to decide if she was joking or serious.
She was serious. I'm 1,000,000% certain she was serious.
Last one, people. You're going to like this one. Or Dan and I are going to like this one. Probably more than the audience. What are we at? Reddit, r/mildly infuriating. Dude, I never thought of this. We got to try this in a airport sometime. Title of the article, sat down at our gate at the airport next to an outlet. Turns out it's a sticker. All right, so
that's a great social experiment. You know that. First thing is, I find it weird. People plug into the wall outlets in the airport. Those are there not for you to do that with. Those are there for people using like vacuum cleaners and stuff. They're not for you.
Those orbital fucking whatever the shit those things.
Yeah, the buffers and shit. They are not for the traveler. Putting a sticker up an outlet, that's fucking amazing.
So here's where we're getting off for our intent of this channel or podcast. This is just funny shit. All right, so just picture a sticker on the wall. Some wonderful human stuck it on the wall, and we think, go to the article and like read some of this, but we think it's got to be a dude. If it's a chick, a woman, great. Even better, that even makes the story better. And if you're the one who did this, wherever the hell you are, call us up, please, and we're going to have you on the show because it's hilarious. But just picture a sticker sitting on the wall at the airport and people walking up and trying to put their freaking phone or their laptop, etc., and plug it in and they just get stuffed because of the sticker on the wall.
If you look at it, you can even see air bubbles under the sticker. There are like 3 clear air bubbles, so they didn't even smooth it out.
They were like, yeah. And so they like slapped
Somebody
on it,
just
went to
walked
the
up and
bar.
went, let's watch.
Let's see where this goes. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at this because we went on for a long time, but I thought that was funny as shit.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think it's funny because people aren't supposed to be plugging those shit all the time.
All right, that covers our articles for this evening. Thoughts till we meet again. Here we go. Guys, I'll continue to say this is a community that you're going to drive us where we all want to go. What I would suggest, if you want to be on the show, potentially be a co-host or a contributor, an expert, etc., please go to WTHshow.com. We kept this easy. What the hell? Show.com. And then click on Start Here. Like or subscribe on YouTube. Provide your feedback on the podcast below. Read the show notes for any information from the show, aka links to the articles we reviewed. And this is what I will constantly come up with as we evolve this show. Guys, don't hesitate to record calls when you call a company. One thing that they and companies do is their outgoing messages. We record calls for training purposes. Record the call and let them know that you're recording the call as well. You will probably get a different behavior. I got many other experiences to share with you going forward. Dan, closing comments.
Closing comments, and I'm going to trumpet what you've been saying. This is a show for the people, of the people. It's not just you and I, not just Melody as the puppeteer in the background. We need their voice too. I mean, we don't mind listening to ourselves talk, but we'd love to have a third person there. It makes things so much more interesting. It's what you call a community.
Yeah, buddy. On that note, great closing statement. Everybody, have a good night. Thank you for listening. We love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.